HanselMinutes.com. It's Hansel Minutes, a weekly discussion with web developer and technologist Scott Hanselman. This is Lawrence Ryan announcing show number 403, recorded live Monday, December 23rd, 2013. This episode of Hansel Minutes is brought to you by Telerik, offering the best in developer tools and support. Online at telerik.com. And by Franklins.net, makers of Gesture Pack, a powerful gesture recording and recognition system for Microsoft Connect for Windows developers. Details at gesturepak.com. In this episode, Scott talks with his wife, Mo, about relationships with the technically oriented.
Hi, this is Scott Hanselman. This is another episode of Hansel Minutes. It is Christmas Eve, and the presents are wrapped, the children are asleep, and we are doing a podcast. Hi.
Hey, love. How are you?
I'm okay, small wife. How are you?
Very well. Thank you.
This is my wife, Mo. Hi, Mo.
Hey, Scott.
We've had Mo on the show a couple times. One of our, see, look at me saying in the third person. Like there's more than one, there's me and Lawrence, basically. But, the royal Hanselman. One of our more popular shows was the relationship tips with Mo. I think that was episode 214. And then, of course, we did a show with our little medical situation last year. If you're not familiar with that, go and take a look at thisdeveloperslife.com, and you can hear all about that, and we'll do a follow-up.
I love that, our little medical situation.
How do you want to call it?
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
You could call it our cancer year, or you could call it our little medical situation.
Either way, indeed.
Do you have a preference?
No. Little medical situation sounds good.
Okay, cool. I think it was interesting that you insisted on getting a piece of paper before. Like, we were sitting here getting ready to do the show, and you're like, I need a piece of paper, because we need to write down, like, the agenda. And then I said, oh, here, take the iPad. And you're like, no, I need a piece of paper. You haven't written on the paper, though. You just have it here.
I'm going to write on it. When you get out of hand mid-show, it's going to be quicker for me to write than to scribble.
But the show isn't edited. Like, I'm not going to stop in the middle and give you an opportunity to write. But your need for the paper was really interesting.
Of course. It makes me feel like I'm in control,
Like you were in control of your flip phone that you recently upgraded from.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was just a disaster. So,
What, having a flip phone or upgrading to a flip?
No. I didn't upgrade to a flip phone.
You upgraded from. Right, but you had a flip phone up until, like, April.
Oh, yeah.
I'm teasing you with the paper and the flip phone. Just like, what is it like in 1995?
That's it, yeah. No, look, you got to do what works for you, right? I really like my flip phone, but I think the real pressure came from my family and WhatsApp. The flip
WhatsApp,
phone,
the texting application.
The application, yeah, for most people that don't know it. It allowed me to text with my family almost like texting, except it didn't cost me anywhere near as much as it did, so that was why in the end I gave in to peer pressure and I upgraded. But yeah, you gotta do what works for you, paper and pencil is still good for me. It helps me think clearer and better and process better and faster than if I'm using my iPad or anything else. So,
Yeah, I tease about that, but I've talked about this before in my productivity videos where if you get stressed out, turn off the computer.
Yep.
Get the paper. And I don't know, do you do this sometimes? Like I lay multiple sheets of paper out on the floor. Like that's the way I get more resolution, right? People will say, oh, I need another monitor because I can't see everything I'm working on. But what I'll do is I'll print it all out and then lay it out on the floor and then back away.
Okay, that's just crazy talk. I don't know what that's about.
Don't you do that?
No.
Well, you've taken over the dining room table is covered in paper. Like you spread it out, right? Don't you take your notes and put them on the floor and then back away to get the big picture?
No, I take my notes and I study them to get the big picture.
Really? You've never done that? Am I the only person who's ever backed away from a lot of paper?
Yeah, less the literal paper, but more the, any situation, right? You and I are notorious for our disagreements when I'll just say, okay, I'm done here, and I feel like I need to walk away from the situation, slowly step backwards. Yeah, sure.
No, I'm talking about like, if things are overwhelming, I don't know about you, but like there's like Evernote and OneNote and all this stuff where you can keep track of your life.
Right.
Like when I get, you know this, when I get stressed out about my calendar, what do? I print the calendar out. And I put it on the floor, and I stand as tall as I can, or stand on a chair, just to kind of go, okay, I can see the whole year from here. Yeah. That's how you get Retina display.
Right. big picture.
Yeah,
Put it all
yeah.
together. Yeah, no, I hear you.
Have I provided adequate tech support to you?
You, in fact, have not.
So hang on. So you find my technical skills inadequate.
Oh, I was going to say lacking, but sure, inadequate works too. We can go with that.
All right. Suboptimal.
Yeah. Subpar. I mean, need I go on here?
That's like the 9-day trip. Or in this case, it was the longest trip I'd taken in a couple of years. It was the 11 or 12 days.
Right. But it happened to be back to back with smaller trips. So
it felt like a lot more than
than
usual.
I wouldn't say every 6 months you have a long trip. I would say every 3-4 months you have a couple of trips that back into each other almost, where you're
Back
gone for 4 days, you're back 2 days, you're gone 5 days, you're back 3 type of thing. And it feels like a month that you're gone, but it's not really a month.
We always fight about this though, where it's like lowercase f, but we fight about this idea of like, am I really gone that long? And I'm not. Like, I'm not like these traveling salesmen that you see where it's like they leave on Sunday and they come back on Saturday. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a couple of days a month, but it's consistent. But what happens, like you're saying, is like in March and in October, like when you have like Build or Tech Ed, they butt up against each other.
They do. They do. And of course, inevitably, when you're here, everything works, everything is fine. And the second you turn your back, everything falls apart and it's impossible.
We never reboot the router except when I leave.
That's it.
The Vonage, the voice over IP, every time I leave, we lose the dial tone.
Yep. All of a sudden, we're sitting without a phone, with no computer, and it's like, okay. And the setup that you've got is so fancy and so slick. Nobody has any idea how to fix it, So, do you provide adequate tech support? You do not, sir. You do not, j'accuse.
I feel like it's really quite simple setup. There's a server in the closet.
Right.
That's where the files are.
Right.
There's just a small issue that for some reason you're unable to access those files.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Details, really.
I don't know why. What it is about your account that will not let you get those files.
I don't know.
We've tried now 3 laptops for you, and all of them have the same problem. So it must be your username. I don't know what the deal is.
What I like is that you're actually seeing it too. I mean,
well, now with the 3rd laptop, this is okay. I get it. Something is wrong.
Yeah, of course. The other 2, you had to sitting there quietly thinking, "Oh, my wife, such a fool." You get the grace not to say it, but
there was a time when I thought there may have been an error between the chair and the keyboard.
That's right. That's diplomatic. There you go. But no, I mean, we've talked about this. Where you said, you're not going to get any better support than with me, and I think to myself, I laugh at that statement.
See, this is the thing. Computers don't always work. Like, it doesn't matter whether it's Mac or PC or PlayStation or whatever. Like, stuff just doesn't work. It's a miracle that it works at all, frankly.
Which is frustrating to those of us that are not in the space, because so much faith is put on these things, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, goodness, it's like my whole life is now stuck on this machine and I can't get it out. So when you are not here and it dies, it's like, okay, so what are my options here? Which is frustrating. Then I think to myself, it must be like that. I'd be curious to know what happens for your listeners. Between a techie and a non-techie, it's like, would I do better to just pay for regular support, tech support? If I may finish before you jump in there, because I can see you getting ready to jump in. And the reason for that is, if I'm paying for this support, it's not going to talk back to me. And it's not going to look down its nose at me. This kind of support that I'd get from Best Buy or whatever, it's got to be more professional, more courteous than you are sometimes. So
hang on. So you feel that you would get better tech support from someone at Best Buy than me?
Better, maybe a little harsh, but certainly more polite and more, more restrained. You know what I mean?
The thing is, you'll ask a question like, why doesn't, you were taking a chemistry class last term in school. You're getting yet another degree.
Right.
Not that you have a lot of degrees, but you do, and now you're getting another one. Right. And you were doing a chemistry class.
Knowledge is power.
And you were like, why is this not working?
Mm-hmm.
It worked before.
Right.
And why is this not working was the question you wanted answered. But the answer was, well, you were in Firefox on another machine with an older version of Java. Now you're in Chrome on this machine, but then you were on IE on that one. And you need to be using this one browser because your school's system is out of date. And then you're like, that's way too much history.
Right.
Just tell me why it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, well, why it doesn't work requires at least 5 paragraphs and a history lesson and possibly some whiteboarding.
The Hanselman style.
The Hanselman whiteboard. And usually when I bring the whiteboard out, that you're like, okay. But see, this is the part that's frustrating. Then you're like, I'm just going to find someone else to do tech support. This is the thing. In the 90s, you could hire someone to do tech support. I don't think those people exist anymore. You're going to have to pay someone like real money. Like it would cost more than the laptop is worth.
To get support?
To get someone to come to the house and work on your router.
No, man, they don't need to come to the house. They can talk me through it because they will speak my language. They will bring it down to my level and not. I think this is what happens between spouses, though. You know, we're joking about you teaching me how to drive a stick, and I was saying I just don't think we could do it without killing each other.
No, we can't because
we just can't do it because you won't listen.
Well, it's because there's two ways. There's two ways to teach someone how to drive a stick.
Yeah.
There's the way you want it, which is
efficient, organized, methodical.
You want me to say, lift your left foot up while pressing forward slightly with your right foot. And that's the mechanical how to drive a stick, right? But what I want is to explain to you the history of the internal combustion engine and how it relates to clutching.
Right.
And through that lesson of history, we will work together.
We'll stumble and make our way.
On the journey of our way to the modern engine.
Which is
because you don't know what you got to visualize the clutch gears and the disengaging and the engaging of the clutch. No,
and then, way too deep for me. I mean, especially with a truck coming right at us. You know, in that moment, perhaps a quick 30-second response might behoove us, might save our lives better than the full-blown 7-minute deposition you might have at the back. Prepared for. I don't know, another opportunity.
The part I don't understand is how you can argue against, literally like against the laws of physics. Like we have arguments at which, at one's core is gravity or, centripetal motion, like stuff like that. And you're like, no, it doesn't work that way. I'm like, no, it very much works that way. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, why are we disconnecting at that level? It's one thing to disconnect on learning style.
Right.
Why do we disconnect on the sky is blue?
And I guess I don't think we do. We just disconnect on the interpretation thereof. I just feel like your interpretation is this off thing that nobody thinks like that, except maybe two other people.
Everyone who's listening to this show thinks like that.
Nonsense.
Regardless of gender, there is spouse and there is non-technical spouse. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
This is the case.
And I mean, my jaw is dropping in shock.
No, I'm telling you.
Amazement.
I believe there's a class of person, the first time in their life that they made toast,
right?
They wanted to disassemble the toaster and find out how that toast got made so that they can put it back together again.
Right.
And then there are those who simply make toast and have no concept of how the toast got made.
And yet sit there and take a moment to enjoy it and appreciate it, right?
But only through understanding the essence of the toaster can one...
Nope. I can enjoy my toast just fine without understanding how the toaster works. I just can polish that sucker off and be like, woohoo, this was delicious, and move on. I do not need to linger.
That was some tasty toast.
That was tasty toast.
I put it in the magic slot machine and it popped out brown.
That's right.
That's right.
I mean, I hear your point, especially again when we think about, like, say, our kids, right? I was talking to a friend of mine. So I was raised not in the States, right? And we were lamenting the test scores that were recently announced not too long ago about how the U.S. is slipping and all this stuff. I have an education background, so to speak. Not so much that I'm a teacher, but both my parents were educators, and I worked for a nonprofit some time back that was in education. So, I always kind of keep my ear to the ground on what's happening in the world of education. And now that our kids are in school and all that stuff, it has become even more meaningful to us. Anyway, so this friend of mine and I were talking about how the U.S. is slipping in test scores and our kids are not performing as well as, other students, blah, blah, blah. And it was just fascinating. So both she and I were talking about calculators, how when I was growing up and doing math, I mean, boy, you had to plot that sucker hand by hand. I mean, and just, to get all those curves and everything else. There was no scientific calculator that would do that for you.
I remember that. We did that too. I mean, In the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah. So you understood it. And I mean, if you were able to plot it, you could understand why you were wrong, if you got it wrong, where you went wrong, as opposed to now, you just get so used to using your calculator or using your phone. I mean, remember we had to call my niece one time. She was babysitting for us and, neither you nor I knew her phone number by heart. I can't remember the context, but for whatever reason.
Well, we were having a conversation about how many numbers we still remember. Yeah, I still got about 10.
No, we forgot our phones or something like that. And we needed to call her. And it was like, okay, now we have access to somebody's landline. What is her number? We couldn't remember. Because it's programmed. It's like, oh, she's number 7 on my speed dial. So it's almost as if our minds are shrinking in as much as.
Well, so one could argue that, yes, that's true. But theoretically, for those that are conscious and trying to be attentive, that has released those brain cells for more interesting work, right? So, for example, one would argue that a caveman does not have a lot of time, given Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where he doesn't have a lot of time to go and make art.
I thought you were going to say Maslow's hierarchy of nerds.
Yeah, I was going to say that actually. That's a new thing.
Yeah.
That's actually a good. There's nerds, geeks, dweebs.
That's it.
That's a whole thing. No, that person doesn't have a time to deal with art and higher pursuits, for lack of a better word, because he's trying to eat. Right. I got to get lunch today. But so then the argument is, if you've got Google and Wolfram that you can ask questions of, that you can then use your brain to worry about other things. But perfect example, we're getting ready for the Christmas dinner, and you needed some yams.
Right.
And I got a 16-ounce container of yams, and I needed to know how much that was in cups.
Right.
Now, here's the part where we, I think, both agree that the world is falling apart.
Right.
I know the conversion. I just didn't feel like doing it in my head.
Well.
So I asked the computer, and Siri told me how many ounces is cup, right? But in the old days, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I had to do that by myself.
Yeah.
I think where we both agree is that if you're 19 and have only a cursory understanding that those things exist,
right,
but no real understanding about the difference between a fluid ounce and weight and mass and all the different kinds, then you're probably just using the phone as a crutch.
Right.
So is it an exoskeleton where I'm going to be bigger, faster, stronger, better?
Right.
Or is it going to be a crutch where it's like, I really can't even figure out the basics of cups and ounces.
Right.
Without this.
And I think the tragedy is for so many of us nowadays, I mean, we don't even realize that it's a crutch. I mean, you just don't know it. You're so used to using it and having it work, you turn it on and it works.
You hate that I use the GPS in the car when I know where I'm going.
Oh, that's pointless. I mean, what's that about?
It tells me about the traffic. You don't know that. See, unnamed people in your family go places and get into traffic situations that could have easily been solved. The first thing I do when I get in the car is I put the traffic part of the GPS on, and then I take one of the 3 ways that I know.
Okay.
But if there's a detour or whatever, I'm gonna get out the way.
Okay.
I feel empowered by that.
Oh.
See what I'm saying? You're like, we're going to Fred Meyer's. Why are you putting the GPS on? You know the way. I was like, yes, but I don't know if there's construction. There could be a car on the side of the road.
Right.
I want that information so that I can be empowered.
And I hear you. I mean, and I think that serves a purpose and has value where the information is useful. Where you and I sort of disconnect is there is only one way out of our house. You have to take that way. I don't know that I necessarily care if there's a car parked on the side of the road. I have no choice. I'm going to take that road with the car parked there.
That's an oversimplification. Once you get out of our house and into town, there's 3 different ways to get to the store.
Sure.
So I'm not going to mess with the phone while I'm driving. So I get the phone ready while I'm in the driveway, and I plan my strategy.
Yeah.
If I'm going to the airport,
right.
Like remember that one time, like 6 years ago, where I almost missed a flight, and it was absolutely because there was a car accident right at the exit. And if I'd known,
right,
I would have gotten out of the way and I would have taken a totally different way. Sure. I know that as it happens. So this is an example of, are you using the GPS for I don't know where north is, and I don't know like that the sun sets in the west.
Right.
Which it's arguable that some people really don't know that.
Right.
And I'm sure there's lots of like 15-year-old kids today, maybe even related to us, that couldn't tell you which way the sun rises and sets.
Well, I'm not going to even touch that one because every time you ask me which direction am I heading, I have no idea, so.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you know that the cardinal directions. I'm just saying.
Right. Yeah,
My point
sure.
being, though, that the GPS is more than just I'm going to blindly have this computer talk me in.
Right.
It provides all this other context. It's a calculator. It's the exact same example that you gave.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'd have to concede your point when you say that it provides value on the traffic. Yeah, that then makes sense. My take on what you were doing was just kind of saying, yeah, let me just see what the GPS says in general. No. So me, that's like,
I think you were looking at it as me being unable to make a decision of my own and wondering what the GPS was going to chime in.
Yeah.
But do you know the traffic?
No, I don't.
There you go.
I only know what I hear on the radio or whatever. So, yeah.
So this gets to this larger concept of whenever you and I are fighting, and I say fighting I say like lowercase f,
right?
Not major capital F.
Right.
Fighting. Okay. It's almost because we know that each of us is competent. Well, presumably.
Right.
We're basically the base assumption.
Nice save there.
Yeah, thanks. We know that each of us, without the other, could potentially get stuff done, right? Mm-hmm. But we're going to get it done differently, though, and that's where we get into trouble. Mm-hmm. So we're in the car trying to do something, get food, go somewhere, whatever.
Right.
The argument always comes down to, are we going to go this way or that way? Are we going to go here first? Are we going to stop there? Or, what?
Yeah.
So why don't we just chill and let whoever's driving handle it? Like, I'm going to get there. It doesn't matter what lane I'm in. Just let it go. I will get there.
Well, I mean,
it's been 15 years. I will get us there.
You'll get us there for sure. I mean, but I think it's that perception, that sense of I can get us there faster, quicker, better, right? I don't think you're an incompetent boob who can barely, get himself dressed. In fact, I think you're quite competent and you can get yourself
I'm
dressed.
I'm glad that you feel that getting dressed is high on my list of skills.
That's right. And but can you do it faster, better? And can I help you with that? So when I'm
getting
saying
dressed,
to you,
or are we back on
just
going places?
In general, I mean, I'm just whatever getting dressed as an example, whether it's driving, whether it's getting the kids ready for school, whether it's making dinner, right? If I feel like I have some insight that could help us and save us time or save you time, hey, I'm your wife. I love you dearly. This is what I'm here for. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, we'll be driving, we're at Costco today. We're driving back. I look ahead, right? And I'm looking and I don't know, 6-7 vehicles ahead of us, there's a bus, right? I'm a smart person. I'm thinking to myself, oh, Scott's a smart person too. Mistakenly, in some cases, he is going to change lanes so we don't get stuck behind this bus. And I try to say to myself, okay, don't say anything. Just watch and see what he does. And, almost every single time you stay in that lane and wouldn't you know it, then we get stuck behind the bus. And I'm thinking to myself, well, we've got all the frozen stuff. We've got the kids in the car. Why wouldn't you switch lanes and just get in the left lane, let the bus people in the bus just go at its pace, and that way we don't get stuck behind it and we can get home sooner. Mm-hmm. You don't do that.
So here's the thing where we get a little, you and I think disagree. We're doing something and you can get me there 5 minutes faster. This happens all the time. Like there's a particular movie theater that we go to, and we actually one time took two cars and I went left, you went right to see which way was the faster way. And it doesn't matter who won, but... Meaning Mo won, of course. No, that was the one I won. You know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, though.
Yeah, that's right. The fact that I won is neither here nor there.
The point is, though, that let's say that there's point A, there's do A, action A and action B, and we save 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. That 5 minutes is not as meaningful as the 35 minutes that it took extra to get out of the house. So we have the whole kind of getting out, starting the day.
Sure.
We start the day at different speeds. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to throw you under the proverbial bus that I'm apparently following.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking to myself, you're worried about 5 minutes on the back end.
Right.
But you blew 35 on the front end. I could sit behind the bus for a full half hour and I'd still be ahead.
But would you be happy, Scott?
No, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my initial reaction, and I think those that are overly analytical, is and this is just kind of saying it in a very efficient way, so I'm not saying it, but, you don't get to talk to me about the 5 minutes that we're going to sit behind this bus when it took you a half an hour to get out the door in the morning. Mm-hmm. But you seem to conveniently forget stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I have no idea what you're talking about right now. What, 35
but you see
minutes?
What I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that when you're like, you're wasting my time, we have to go. Every second counts. Mm-hmm. But for me, every second counts all the time.
Right.
Does that make sense?
So it's okay for you to sit behind the bus because you choose to sit behind the bus?
Exactly.
And it's just not that big a deal?
And the minute or two I lose there will be made up through the efficient use of GPSs and traffic, while you, on the other hand, will get out of the way of the bus, zoom forward, and then hurry up and wait at
wait at the red light,
traffic light or the red light that you totally didn't see coming.
No, I saw it coming, but I just got stuck
But
there.
you've also lost a half an hour because it took you that long to get out that morning.
Yeah, which, I mean, I'll have to disagree on that. It took me half an hour, and that's another...
Okay, that's fine. 25 minutes.
Tops. That's another conversation because, I mean, I think one would want to know, what is Mo doing for those 25 minutes?
Well,
it's more than just the get up, shower, get dressed.
Well, that's the whole, we're about to leave the house. Is it appropriate to do the dishes now and come home to clean dishes?
Right.
Or get out the door and you pay for it
and
on the back end.
And let them just wait.
Yeah. And that's the funny thing about dishes. They will be there.
They don't do themselves, apparently.
No, but they'll be there when you get back, which means there's no reason to do them when you leave.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, it's more than just the dishes. Sometimes it's the butter. Sometimes it's the milk that's sitting out there.
It's not the butter.
Because somebody didn't see it, right?
It's never the butter. I don't know even what that means. There are never any, there's no perishable items on the counter. I'm just talking about you get up, you take a shower, you roll out the door. It's a 6-minute operation.
No, you got to pick up a little bit. We're not pigs that we're going to live in a sty. So we're going to organize ourselves. The boys are not wolves.
But this inevitably ends up with us
living in the jungle. So we're going to comb their hair. And
this
get
is
them
inevitably
coats,
us sitting in the car waiting for you.
So if I may push back just a little, let's work as a team. We'll just get it done in less time.
So when you say work as a team, that means let's do it my way.
Well, one man's work as a team, another woman's do it my way. That's up to you, the listener, to decide,
But, the point being, though, that, if
do it right, Scott, do it right.
On days when you sleep in, we take turns, right?
Right.
If I'm getting the boys ready, it inevitably goes incredibly smoothly. And I think to myself, why is this a big deal?
It does.
But on the flip side, when I sleep in, the same, presumably,
it goes incredibly smoothly.
Yeah. But when we're up at the same time, the boys are almost always late, or almost late.
I mean, this year has just been every single day. We get there with barely 2 minutes to spare. I mean, these poor kids.
But we get them there. But the point is, though, there's stress in the air.
Yeah.
We got to just see that each of us is getting them there. Mm-hmm. So just chill out. It's going to get done. I don't come over to you in Microsoft Word and turn on the paragraph mark and start making you feel bad about your white space.
Right.
I mean, I'm thinking it.
No,
I want to make sure you're clear. I'm thinking it.
To be clear,
no,
yes.
If you worked for me, you'd have been fired long ago for poor use of word white space. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's just that's not how you left align a column. It's just not how it's done.
Yeah.
But you'll say, hey, it's left aligned. Mm-hmm. Same thing. It's the whole ends justifies the means thing. But I don't say anything. I let it go. So let me just...
Well, let me ask you this then. I mean, Scott, the engineer, the efficient guy who has all these tools and these gadgets, you really would like to just be left in the dark. You want to continue to be blind to the errors of your ways and not kind of get that feedback that says, but here's a tip on how you can simplify your life, make it better. I mean,
no, I'm all about collecting tips. It's just that
you just ignore them when they come from your wife.
Well, there's that, but I'm talking about I've already done the analysis and decided that your way is inefficient. If it was more efficient, I'd be doing it that way.
You haven't thought of it though. You haven't tried it from my point of view.
When I try to show you how to do XYZ on a computer, you don't want to hear about it. I've been trying to teach you basic hotkeys for 15 years, and you have not learned one. But you know that hotkeys will make you faster, right?
Yes.
Do you use any hotkeys?
Yes, I do. None that were taught to me by you, but
which hotkey? Okay, whatever. That's a whole other conversation.
That's another,
Mo on hotkeys. Yeah. But you see what I'm saying, though? People have their way.
Yeah.
And so let them do their way. Don't you think in mixed marriages between geeks and normals?
Yes.
Just somebody has to chill out, taking turns chilling out. Mm-hmm. And then it'll be fine.
Why do we have to take turns? Why can't we both be consistently chilled? I mean, why must it be, okay, today is Scott's day to chill?
Well, I mean, because someone has to take the lead on any given, thing. You go into the store. Yeah. We were going to the store today. All right, well, how are we going to run this? I think it sounds a little bit more dysfunctional than it is. To be clear, we have lots of fun, and we're having fun right now.
We are the same person. And we should do a show
as different
on that.
as we are the same person. But
ways.
like, we got to Costco, and I'm like, okay, my strategy is you go in a snake formation through every single aisle because you never know what you're going to get. You never know what you bump into, and it's very efficient. You, on the other hand,
efficient.
It's incredibly efficient.
To just zigzag casually in a leisurely fashion.
And you're going to see some stuff, and you'll pick up stuff when you pass it.
When you say efficient, can you break that down for me?
You, on the other hand, had like a whole traveling salesman fractal algorithm or something. But, so what I did is I just said, all right, well, we'll do it your way.
Yeah. And
it worked. And we made it out of Costco alive. We should do that more in the car, too.
No, I mean, I think the point that you made was well made. This idea that when you do it, it works well. You're capable, you're efficient, and you get the boys to school with a minute to spare, but by golly, you get them to school. And I do the same thing, right? So, it's when we're together, when you have two people who are reasonably smart, reasonably organized, that are trying to accomplish the same goal, you end up with, tension, right?
Yeah, because no one wants to let go.
You and I are similar people in some ways, not obviously from a technical point of view, but the big picture stuff about how we think, what we value, what's important to us, family, all that stuff.
The values are the same. We agree on that. It's just about how we get there.
The execution, and we've talked about this before on Hanselman. It's that you and I come at it from two different points of view altogether. We end up at the same place. The boys get to school on time, the boys get fed, but how we get there is different.
But the point then is that it's been 15 years.
13 really, but who's counting?
It feels like 15. We're not going to switch teams. Like, you're not going to come around and become super analytical, right? You're not ever going to take my way and say this is a good way.
It's not go crazy now.
You're going to say it's a good way for you.
Right, and I'll respect it as such for you.
Wait a second, you'll respect it as such?
For you,
yes.
Yes.
Well, that'll make driving tomorrow easier as you'll let me... Now you respect it. You've said it. I've recorded it.
Oh, it's let it be on the record. I didn't say that I'd agree with it or that I think
this is great. Next time you bug me in the car, I'm going to say, I understand that you respect my way.
No, I stand corrected when I'm wrong.
Well, see, this is another funny thing. We should end on that because I told someone our secret, and now we'll just tell it on the show. There was a time, I think, when we did actually have some fights, and sometimes fighting turns into kind of like, well, like. Phooey on you, let's just say. And we didn't want to say phooey on you or, much worse, because it's not very nice to say that to your spouse. Right. So instead, we decided to say, I stand corrected, which means the exact opposite of what it means for us. So whenever I'm completely right about something and I nailed it, like rather than saying I told you so, we say,
right. I stand corrected.
I stand corrected.
That's right.
Which means you're a total idiot. And everything you just said was complete crap. I can't believe you're breathing. You're so dumb. It's all encapsulated in that phrase.
I stand corrected.
I stand corrected.
That's right.
And you can do that at like dinner parties and mixed company.
And people are like,
so deferential.
So gracious. Wow, yes.
Yes, she's such a debutante.
And then you look at them and you're like, if you only knew what she's really saying.
Man, if she says I stand corrected, that means that I'm an idiot.
Well, but it's no different than your yes, dear,
That is true. Yes, dear does not mean yes, dear.
Yes, dear means you idiot,
It means something more than that, but yeah.
Yes.
Oh, dear.
Well, I always enjoy talking to you, Scott Hanselman.
Oh, that's nice, dear. Because
I know I'm going to turn it around the last 30 seconds. Tell me very quickly, your fans want to know what are
you talking about?
Do you have any, what's the word I'm looking for 2014?
New Year's resolutions?
Resolutions, yes.
Oh, it's the same one as it always is. It's always hang out with the kids, get a 6-pack.
And 1 out of 2 ain't bad sometimes.
Thank you. I like a 2-pack. No, I want to get like abs. Again, I had them when I was younger. I'd like to have abs again.
That's right.
I'm working on that.
Abs would be good on you.
Thank you. I'm glad you're looking forward to the abs. This has been the same
conversation. Really.
How many years have I been trying to get abs?
13 years.
13 years, yeah.
We've been married 13, so.
Yeah. Soon I'll have them. It's possible. Yeah, the thing is, this is the other thing we've talked about, is that I'm really simple.
Like really simple.
Like I don't need anything. I have, what's your motivation? I just want to make people happy and be nice and watch TV and have an apple.
That's right. Have an apple. Yeah.
Is that too simple, dear?
You're a bit of a simpleton, but you're my simpleton. So I think I'll keep you.
Okay. Well, thank you. Do you want to do the closing now?
No, thanks.
You sure? This has been another episode. You don't do that?
No, but thank you, though.
Oh, I stand corrected.
Well done. Bravo.
All right. This has been another episode of Handsome Minutes, and we wish you all a Merry Christmas and a holiday season and all that good stuff, and we'll see you again next week.